Am I the asshole for enforcing that my son uses his college fund to pay back his child support? All names are fake. My wife and I have 2 kids. Our oldest is Josh. He just started his 2nd year in college. Full disclosure, I'm not Josh's biological dad, but I'm been married to his mom since he was 8. He's my son in all but blood. Josh has a full ride scholarship at his college. His mom and I are very proud, and he has ambitions for law school after graduation. A few months ago we were contacted by Tina, a girl who claimed to have had a baby boy with Josh. The baby is a little under 18 months old. Tina said Josh had ghosted her and blocked her on all platforms. She'd been trying to get back in touch with him, but when that didn't work began to look for his parents to contact. She finally found us and begged us to get Josh to talk to her. We were skeptical at first. He said he knew the girl but denied the baby. We insisted on a paternity test, 2 of them, and they were positive. Tina has gone through the courts and now is pushing for back child support for the baby. Josh is panicking. He doesn't have much income or savings other than a college fund his mom and I have been paying into. He wanted to use that money for his first apartment and for law school. My wife wants to help him pay. The payments aren't much now, and we could afford to, but I'm against it. Wife and I, agreed that our kids would be responsible for themselves once they moved out. We'd help them if they needed it, but only if it was reasonable. To me, paying his child support for a baby he tried to abandon is unreasonable. He has the money in his fund, he just doesn't want to use it. Josh is afraid of not being able to afford law school without big loans in the future, and to that I say tough, should have thought of that before bringing a child into the world. My wife thinks I'm unfairly punishing him, and paying the support now would be investing in both the baby and Josh's future. I have no interest in taking care of an infant again this late in life. I'm fine with being grandpa but not stand-in dad while Josh gets off scot-free. He needs to step up and take care of his kid. Edited to add. I suddenly have a flood of responses to read. I can't find the info posts I meant to reply to, so I will address some questions here. Tina, according to her, tried to get into contact with Josh while she was pregnant. He denied the baby was his and ignored her. They weren't dating. She attends community college, not his university. She has evidence of multiple attempts to contact him both before and after the baby was born. I don't know about protection being used. I'd hope they were careful and that this was just an accident, but I'm not going to ask about all the details of my son's sex life. The deed is done, the baby exists. He needs to step up and be a dad. Not the asshole. Thank you for standing up for the girl and the baby. Josh needs to understand that actions have consequences.
Not the asshole. He has the money in his fund, he just doesn't want to use it. Should have thought of that before bringing a child into the world. I agree. Law school would be great, but he doesn't have that luxury. If he's still able to get a college degree, and also has money to support a child, he's doing well enough. And how many mothers have had to give up dreams of law school to look after a baby?
Not the asshole. Your wife should be way more concerned about Josh's apparent lack of character. Taking responsibility for your actions is not a punishment, it's just life.
Not the asshole. Actions meet consequences.
Not the asshole. He has a full ride scholarship right now. Very few people make it through undergrad without debt, so that's a huge leg up. He has the responsibility of a baby. He needs to be what he owes.
Not the asshole. Josh was okay leaving his child and the mother of his child to struggle so he didn't have to change his plans. Enabling that behavior would be an enormous mistake.
Not the asshole. He is responsible for that child support now. He's an adult. But also, what did that girl have to give up to raise the child these 18 months since he ghosted her? He doesn't get to duck out of responsibility just because of his bright future. It smacks too much of boys will be boys while girls pay. No, she wasn't raped, but her future and the kid's future is just as important as your son's. He owes her that back support from his own pocket now. Not the asshole. In fact, you are doing him a favor by having him face the consequences of his actions. Something which he clearly needs, having already tried to just ignore and deny both the mother of his child and the child itself. Had he come to you looking for support and advice when she first contacted him, then maybe I would say pay for him, but not based on his behavior and unwillingness to take responsibility. Paying for him would be a disservice in the long run.
Info. You mention what your wife wants to do, and what you want to do, but what I am missing here is what Josh wants to do about this child support. Has he asked you to pay for it? Has he said at all how he intends to pay it, or if he does?
Not the asshole. I saved up for a few months to buy myself an expensive accessory for my hobby. Then I needed an operation. The hobby money had to get used for the operation. Sometimes when you're an adult you don't get to use your money for what you intended it for because things happen. It's incredibly unreasonable for him to expect you to pay for it.
Not the asshole, but you will be viewed as one for a long time by Josh and maybe your wife, but you are doing the right thing. If he has to take on debt to pay for school, then that is just a consequence of his actions. You should not send him a message that he can get away with fathering a child and wanting to run away from it. And may I say, I admire you taking a stand on this. Far too many people cuddle their children from situations like this and trying to find fault with the mother, instead of realizing it is a shared burden. Stick to your ground up. It may be difficult, but in the long run, you will be making a better man out of your son. Info: why doesn't Josh want to step up now that he knows this is his child? At the least he should be trying for visitation and moving toward 50-50 custody. There's more to parenthood than writing a check. Should have thought of that before bringing a child into the world. He didn't though. Tina did. Her body, her choice. His consequences?
Not the asshole. I would feel differently if he was at least trying to take responsibility, but he needs to learn this lesson. You could always help him a bit with law school if he learns from this.
Info: is the college fund in his name or yours? Is it a 529 or a regular bank account? Your son needs to take responsibility for his kid. End of story there. The method and how much say you have in it is debatable. If you control the account and had just created a separate account to put money aside, then it is all yours to control how he uses it. If it is in his name, is a special kind of account, or is otherwise out of your control, then that's up to the courts to decide. If Josh is just worried about not being able to pay for further school in the future because he has responsibilities now, well, that's just a part of being an adult.
Not the asshole, definitely not. I write separately to put you a little bit at ease about law school. If he had good grades and does well on the LSAT, law schools are very generous with scholarships. I go to a top 30 school and got a 70% scholarship, if that tells you anything. I got numerous full rides too, so don't let law school keep you from doing right by your grandchild or be the reason your son ignores his responsibilities.
Honestly, I don't get why women have the right to terminate but men don't have the right to leave and not pay child support. If someone sprung a baby out of nowhere on me, I wouldn't want to give up funds for my future to pay for it either. He wasn't given the option to give the baby up for adoption or terminate the pregnancy, so he shouldn't have to have anything to do with the baby.
Everyone sucks here. So this kid was born when he was 17 to 18? Not excusing him, but it's not that unusual for a young kid to freak out. It sounds like your young son needs guidance, not punishment. Maybe he thought this kid wasn't his? Do you want him to go get a job at McDonald's or get an education to better support his child? Make it clear he needs to pay support. That is not your job. Being a parent, though, is your job. Help him take responsibility and get on track. He can take loans, but he needs to step up. Help him grow up. Question: how is 18 months of back pay equal to the cost of a law degree, usually $30,000 minus $40,000 in the States? I agree that he should be taking care of his child and give him the benefit of the doubt that he didn't know until now, but his support should be proportional to what he's actually making and can afford. Not the asshole. I think for now you guys really should not help him pay. Let things roll for a while, so you can understand if he really makes an effort to be a better person and parent, taking responsibility for his actions. And in the future you can reevaluate. I guess that would also be a compromise with your wife.
Not the asshole. You've done your job. Now it's time for him to step up and do his. If you change your mind and want to help out in the future once he shows he's helping, then you can go that route too.
I feel like getting someone else to take care of your child support payments is as bad as trying to get out of it altogether, or worse. I'm absolutely 100% behind your opinion. He should have thought about what he did before he did it. He's not a kid. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Not the asshole.
I do think you'd be stupid tough. You have to think of your grandbaby. Having a lawyer father would be much more helpful than having a father that was punished using his college fund. If you can afford it, you should help. Not for your son, but for your grandchild.
Not the asshole, you're a good dad. Kids sometime need to learn the hard way.
Info. What is the full story from Josh Tina? Did they use protection and it failed? Did Josh know Tina was pregnant when he ghosted her? Was he ever clear to her that he didn't want a kid? There's a small chance that they used protection and it failed, but she chose to keep the baby but Josh didn't. He shouldn't be fully at blame if this is the case. Depending on this, I would say nah. Neither of you should be forced to pay. But if everything was the complete opposite, like what you say, then not the asshole. Not the asshole. And what kind of person is he for trying to abandon the child he created and shirk all responsibility? Sounds like he's never had to face any consequences for his actions before. Does his mom have a history of always bailing him out? He seems very entitled and selfish. Good for you for making him be a decent person and accept the results of his decisions.
Not the asshole, it won't kill Josh to take out loans for college. Not the asshole. Info, is the college fund registered? If not, then it's generous of you to allow him to use it to pay the child support. That should be his priority, not law school, to which he presumably hasn't been accepted yet. He is young, so his deception about having had sex with the woman, please don't call her a girl, she is an adult female, is understandable. Perhaps paying child support will hasten his maturity process. You are right to take a stand against becoming parental figures to the baby, including the attendant financial burden. It's not your job as parents to make his transition to adulthood consequence-free.
Not the asshole at all. He should 100% be using his own money, and honestly I completely agree that you shouldn't help him in any way.
Not the asshole. He needs to face his responsibility instead of y'all bailing him out. Not the asshole. It's his kid, not yours.
Not the asshole for how you feel about this, but that child is more likely to have financial stability if Josh is able to follow through on his goal of college and law school. He is more likely to accomplish that if he can focus on his studying and not worrying about how to pay for rent and further schooling. Is there no way for the two parents and their families to come together to support that future? Would this all seem more palatable if you'd known the mom when she got pregnant? What's it going to feel like looking in this kid's face if these goals spiral out and Josh and the mom are struggling to provide well for the kid?
Not the asshole. It's his child, and on top of that he has been trying to duck responsibility since he found out about the child. He needs to learn to be responsible for the child and to understand that someone isn't always going to bail him out. It's the only way he is going to learn to think before he acts.
I can't tell if this is real or fake because becoming a bar-admitted attorney requires disclosure of child support orders, and not paying on a judgment means you fail the character and fitness part of the process, disqualifying you from practice. Either nobody involved in this situation actually understands what is required to become an attorney, which is very possible, or it is fake. If it is the former, he needs to actually do his due diligence because law school will be a complete waste of time and money when he isn't even allowed to sit for the bar exam because he owes child support.
Not the asshole. He has responsibilities and he needs to get real. Maybe Prince Josh needs to get a job. Not the asshole. Unless info, did he want his girlfriend to bring the child to term, or was it just her against his wishes? If he would have rathered it be aborted but she went ahead with it anyways, then I wouldn't think he should have to pay child support on a child that she specifically chose to bring into the world when she knew he wasn't supportive of it. The only reason I make this distinction is because that's a real thing that happens. This might not be that, but you never mentioned whether your son wanted to keep the baby at all. If he did and changed his mind, then yeah, not the asshole.
Not the asshole. Having a college fund is great and all, so is saving for your future. Unfortunately for Josh, his future started when his child was born. It wasn't the plan, but it's the reality of his life, not yours.
The guy wants to study law, and then brings a child to the world, dips, and complains about having to pay child support mandated by law. I don't know if it's irony or hypocrisy. Not the asshole.
Info, did your son even know Tina was pregnant? I'm not sure we can judge his actions as some people are without knowing if Josh just moved on from a girl not knowing he had a child, or if he was running from the responsibility of his child. I would consider you could have some sympathy for him in the former case. In the latter, just take the whole fund away for behavior that low. About the college fund. Absolutely, Tina should get the back support and ASAP, no matter who pays. But, again, how does the rest of the fund disappear? I don't see that 18 mail of the back payments owed by a student would make a substantial debt in the size of fund that could pay for law school.
I'm gonna be the oddball out here and say that you are the asshole. If he made it clear from the beginning that he didn't want this child and she continued with the pregnancy anyway, then that is her choice. If a woman has a right to say, no, I don't want to be pregnant and have a child, then why doesn't a man have that same right?
Not the asshole. He can get a job and use the income from that job to pay for his CS while keeping the money from his college fund for school. There's way around it where he won't feel as stuck as he thinks he'll be. He obviously just wants to smooch off of you guys and get out of the responsibility for the child.
NTA. He's worried about how he's going to survive. Imagine being that girl and being worried about how she's going to survive and take care of a new life. This is why I get significant other pissed off. Boys need to take responsibility for their actions. Women always get the shit end of the stick. The stigma of it. The shame of it. The struggle of it. Thank you for standing up for the baby. Edit. And your wife needs to do right as well.
NTA. He knew what he was doing was wrong, that's why he hid it. You know what everyone else does when they need to cover college costs? Get a student loan. Your wife's attitude that her poor, little, darling, baby boy have no consequences is probably a big part of his problem.
Nah. I'm a woman but still firmly believe if the guy doesn't want a baby, he shouldn't have to be responsible for it. They should have agreed on raising an accidental child or aborting it before sleeping together. However, a child was made and he can't just ignore that, for the kid's sake. TLDR, do the crime, do the time, as they say.
Not the asshole. He should be happy you have funds to help him out, not ask for additional funding. Not the asshole. I can't blame you, your wife, for not wanting to use money you've set aside for your child's education for any other purpose. If the child support payments are low, I don't see why Josh can't work and make the child support payments himself while he's in school without having to use the money set aside for his education. Not the asshole. I think it's time Josh learned to grow up.
Not the asshole. He needs to support the child, not you. He's not a child anymore. Not the asshole. Josh can hustle for law school just like thousands of other kids do. Alone is not the end of the world, and neither is needing to work a little harder to support your children. If you want a relationship with your grandchild, I hope you do make yourself available to the mom and let that be known, regardless of Josh's obvious feelings, but that any support you provide will be for the baby as a grandparent and not a replacement for Josh's child support.
Not the asshole. But don't make the decision for him. Don't give him money and don't tell him to use the fund. Simply let him clean up his own mess. He tried to abandon a child. Don't reward him for that by making things easy on him. Do you plan on paying for the next child he abandons?